I want to be the very best like no one ever was, and to catch them is my real test, and to train them is my cause. Pokemon. Hi, my name's Jackson McMurray.
My name is Ellen. I'd be to travel across the land, searching far and wide. I teaching Pokemon to understand the power that's inside.
And my name's Teams Magoo, and we're blasting off again.
Good. Yeah, hello, and this is No Nerds Allowed.
Well, we're sticking to that now.
I had to ruin it. It was too perfect.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
This is Teams Magoo. And this is the Teams Magoo podcast.
So, on this, our first inaugural Pokemon episode, I guess second, we did do Detective Pikachu. But, we do have with us today, again, for the final time, Tabi Bardall of Find Us Alive and Art. Also, Art, anything else you want to plug?
I do those things. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, good.
Wait, what do you mean final time? Are you gonna kill me?
We don't have to talk about it on mic. We could talk about this later, I think.
You're just gonna go missing. That's fine.
Let's just say for now that we don't have any plans to bring you on anymore after this. We'll leave it at that for the fans.
I am gonna make this the best goddamn Teams Magoo finale you will ever hear.
So today we watched Pokemon, the first movie. Super quick, before we really dig into it, I just want to double check that all three of us watched the version that does have the extended Mewtwo origin story at the beginning.
Oh yes.
Yes. So here's the thing. I rent it for $3.99. I pull it up on my TV, and the audio is 4 octaves too low, and also there's like a 10-second delay.
Oh no.
So I watched the original. I watched that opening with Mewtwo's backstory, but. Yeah. It was on 3 octaves too low and 10 seconds behind, but I thought that's just what the movie was like. So he comes up for the first time and he's like, life. What is life? And I'm like, is this what this is supposed to sound like? This is horrifying.
Oh, no.
I was like, God, this is scary. What is Pokemon doing?
I feel like I have not seen this movie in a very long time.
Yeah.
I did watch it once a couple of years ago, I think, but I wasn't really paying close attention to it. Mm-hmm. This is my first, true dedicated viewing of this movie since I was a litlin.
Same.
And I had completely forgotten how deathly seriously it takes itself at all times.
I do not remember this movie being as kind of bad as it is.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Yeah. It's not good, but it's also definitely not fun, and that's weird.
Right.
For a Pokemon movie.
And we spent so this is why I asked you guys to make sure you had the same version, because apparently not every version of this movie has the intro with Mewtwo.
No.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Because they make him mysterious in the first act of the movie, which doesn't make any sense if you just saw his whole shit 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But they include his backstory, but they also go through his backstory at rapid speeds. They're like, this is Mewtwo, he was born, he hates all of you. Now he's in a giant Dragon Ball Z mecha suit. Now he's blowing everybody up. Now he's angry at everyone and he's leaving. There he goes. And now he's built a palace, and now he's the true Pokemon master. It's like, oh, okay.
Right.
And now here's Ash Ketchum.
Yeah.
Right.
And Ash and his friends are here fucking eating jelly bellies.
But yeah, and it's just the whole intro is so deathly serious, and you open up on I am ready to be.
I know, be what,
okay.
bitch? What are you talking about?
I'm ready to exist. He wakes up and he's like, this is what I am new. What did I remember? Was it all a dream? And you're like, what the fuck are we doing? Why is it like this? Why is this the movie?
I unironically enjoy the beginning so much.
It's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool.
It goes hard.
And God, the animation it's old, right? And it's not the pinnacle of animation, but it is so nostalgic.
Yeah.
And I love it so much.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's like that 90s style, but it's like that 90s style, but like with a budget.
Yeah,
Which isn't what every Pokemon episode is all the time. Sometimes the Pokemon episode is, we got $10.
I was going to say, I think it's kind of interesting that, like, I don't know, I don't think it really looks that much better than a regular Pokemon episode, you know? Which is to say that, like, regular Pokemon episodes look pretty good, and this also looks like the same amount of good. It's weird to me that there wasn't, like, didn't seem to be an upped production value, you know?
Yeah, that sometimes happens with, like, movies based on TV shows, where they, like, they don't want to do something, like, out of the ordinary, so they basically just make, like, an hour-long episode, and they're like, it's a movie, and it's like, well, yeah, you're right, but come on.
But come on. I feel like
they don't want to show you that they're capable of doing better.
Yeah, because then you're going to expect that all the time.
I feel like most of their budget went into painting, like, all of the weird backgrounds for, like, the castle.
Right.
Because, like, okay, first of all, what the fuck was up with that? Like, where did you get this inspiration for this weird-ass architecture, and where did it go? Like, this is, like, it's so unique to this one movie. Just, like, how, like, weird and Ghibli, like, this palace is.
Yeah, and, like, how the weird, like, Pokemon cloning machine is, like, shaped like one of those, like, fossil fish that are, like, the Helix.
Yeah!
Oh,
like,
the Omanite?
Yeah, like, that's super cool and weird. And, like, all of, like, it's all got, like, this, like, alive, living feel to it, which is weird. And then we don't talk about why it's that way, and then we blow it up at the end of the movie.
Right. So, yeah, I just want to talk about what Mewtwo's whole deal is in this movie, because it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Really, it does not.
He's like, okay, here's my deal. I want to destroy humans, because they created me, and that's horrible, and I don't want to be alive, or whatever.
Yeah.
And also Pokemon are complicit because they're friends with humans, and that is bad because humans are bad.
Yeah.
So I just want to destroy everything, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a whole bunch of invitations to a whole bunch of good Pokemon trainers and have them come to my house, and then I'll fight them, and then I'll destroy humanity or whatever. Like,
No, Jackson. He thinks that the alpha race is the clones. That clones are good. So he's like, I'm gonna invite all these trainers to my house so I can steal their Pokemon and clone them to get my master race of clone Pokemon, which is different from regular Pokemon, and I don't hate them for some reason.
Is he gonna, like, use the clones to take over the world?
I guess.
He's not taking over the world. He's destroying the whole world. So I don't even know what he wants or why he's doing anything.
Right. And because he doesn't like the people because they disrespect Pokemon by making them fight, but then he takes the Pokemon and he makes the clones, and then he makes them fight with the Pokemon with the trainers. So it's like, how?
Well, and there's, like,
I'm confused.
He's like, it's like, your Pokemon will not be spared because they're complicit and they're just as bad as you. But what about the wild Pokemon that don't like humans also? Like, what about them? Are they just also fucked up? Because then there's that moment that Charizard, like, blasts Mewtwo with fire, and he's like, oh, your Charizard's trained poorly. And it's like,
Also,
I thought you would like that.
Sassy
I thought
motherfucker.
you don't like it. You don't like when they're trained good.
Yeah, you would. Is it good? Bad? So what are your thoughts, Mewtwo?
I don't know. I guess Mewtwo is.
What is your motive?
He is like a month old, I guess, so maybe he just didn't totally think
maybe
it through.
Mewtwo's just the world's biggest dumbass, but we just all think he's really smart because he can, like, talk in your brain or whatever.
Right, and you know,
wrap
like,
it
when
up.
you're in elementary school and, like, someone says something and you're like, oh yeah, I think that, but you don't really think that, and you just, like, really stubbornly kind of, like, say that over and over again, even though it doesn't really make sense. That's kind of what Mewtwo's doing, I feel like.
You could just explain it just by saying, it's okay, he's a baby. He's a child.
I just want to say, before we even get to the bulk of the Mewtwo stuff, I love when they're like, oh, I'm going to go get we're going on the ferry to go to this island. And then the police officer shows up and it's just like, hold on. The ancient prophecy foretold that today there would be a storm, and that's why you can't get on this boat. It's
and there's
like,
the lady, and she's like, I have a weird accent, and you have to listen to what I say. And you're like, who are you?
They were just supposed to just go. They're like, okay, so the Officer Jenny is like, okay, there's a real Franklin.
Franklin.
Hold on, I have to throw him out the window.
Oh my.
Franklin, you can't. You just can't. Yeah, you're in trouble now.
You're supposed to be sleeping.
God, how dare he?
He's a disobedient Pokemon. Mewtwo would hate him.
Okay, I'm back.
Cannot compare real life
or
pets
like
to
him.
Pokemon.
I don't know. So would Mewtwo like or not like Franklin?
I mean, I don't know.
We can't figure it out.
I don't make Franklin fight anybody, so maybe.
Based on the evidence that has been given to us, I think that Mewtwo would not like Franklin because it kind of seems like Mewtwo does not like anyone.
Anyone, yeah, I think maybe
Right.
Mewtwo doesn't know what he likes and doesn't like
Yeah.
because he's sick. But anyway, what I was saying is that Officer Jenny shows up and she's like, all right, there's a really bad storm, like it's super dangerous, we can't go out there. And everyone's like, oh man, that sucks, we'll just use our Pokemon to get out there. And then blue hair lady is like, no, the prophecy. And that
prophecy.
just doesn't make any goddamn sense.
And it never
Right.
no,
No, I
up
just-
ever again.
No.
They were like,
Yeah,
remember when Noah flooded the earth and all the humans died and the Pokemon cried so hard that all the humans came back to life? And we just like breeze past that and it's like, okay.
Wait, is that what she said?
That's what she says.
Oh, so they do explain the weird tear thing that happened.
Yeah, she's like, remember 1,000 years ago when the first storm happened and everybody died, but then all the
1,000
Pokemon
years ago.
cried, and then they did it, and then everything was fine. And it's
Right.
like, okay.
I just like to imagine me like waiting in line for the TSA, and then somebody just comes on and it's just like, hello everybody. All of our flights today are canceled because there was the prophets foretold that today would be a horrible lightning storm that would bring about 100 years of darkness. So, sorry for the inconvenience, and your tickets will be refunded at the gate. Thank you. And you're just like, oh well.
Oh.
Okay, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I mean, how do you
I'm not going
argue
where
with
I'm
that?
going.
Not do anything, man.
Yeah. I guess you're.
That same lady is when the trainers are like, fuck you, we don't need a boat, we'll just ride our Pokemon. And Jenny is like, your Pokemon are gonna get seriously injured and there's nobody to heal them. If you don't get back here, I'm gonna arrest you for like endangerment or whatever.
Yeah.
And the weird prophecy lady is like, no, they are the
let
true
them go."
Pokemon masters. Because they are willing to let their Pokemon die in the ocean in order to get to this stupid party.
Right.
Like, she's like, oh, how noble. And I'm like, no, Jenny is right. Please
it's
arrest
just
them.
Stupid.
I just, I don't know. We're like kind of bouncing around, but still at the beginning.
Yeah.
I love, first of all, I just want to point out when Brock is like, oh, I made my lazy boy no juice too. I was like, what was that? Excuse me? Say that again?
Cool. Awesome. Great. Good for you, bro.
Well, it's the fact that we go from that, like, super dramatic, like, intro about Mewtwo and, like, all the terrible things that Mewtwo has been through, and then we're like, Ash and his friends are out having a picnic, and fucking Ash is being an asshole. Like, it's like the strongest whiplash in the world.
Yeah.
Right. And then that guy, that mysterious guy, is just like, hey, are you Ash? And she's like, yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
I want to fight you.
Fight me.
And he's just like, all right, tight, I will. And it's just like, okay, cool.
And it's just like, oh,
Great.
go, Pikachu!
But that part at the end where he, like, releases 3 Pokemon at once.
Right.
Because he's upset that he's
Because
losing.
he's just mad.
And
I
it's
love
like,
that
sir, we have rules here. You can't just do that.
I also just want to point out,
Pikachu is not frying your brain right now is because we have rules here.
we live in a society.
Yeah, God.
A Pokesociety.
Right. I also just want to say that this movie came out way before like Gold and Silver, And the fact that he sends out a Dawn fan at the beginning was probably super exciting. It was probably like a brand new Pokemon you'd never seen before.
True.
And then,
I love that.
Yeah, and then it was probably like, oh, but it's not important. He's just going to be there for a second. Everyone's like, what was that? Who was that guy? And
what was
that?
Like,
I don't know. You'll see.
What is that weird tire elephant?
Yeah, you'll see someday, maybe. Have you guys seen all of the, like, scrapped Pokemon models from Gold and Silver?
No.
I've seen a few of them.
Ooh, okay, Tabi, I have some things to send you.
Okay.
Just put them on the Discord chat.
Yeah.
On kind of like the same vein, I feel like I really miss when Pokemon would just make dumbass noises.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
There's like the Dragonite who's just going like, Wah! Or whatever he does.
Yeah, I don't know why the Pokemon video games decided. It must have just been a limitation of technology, but I don't know why the video games decided that Pokemon just make terrifying, screeching electronic sounds.
Yeah.
I don't know why they
Right.
decided that, and I love that everyone has ignored that because that's
Right.
stupid.
Yes.
Well, because it was a Game Boy game. They couldn't, like,
but
do
then they
anything more than
continued
that.
it for like forever, like Diamond and Pearl. They were like,
That's true. They didn't really
screech,
update
and
it.
It's like, no, they don't do that.
That's
hold on
not
just a second.
Cute.
Yeah, no. But then they would, because I remember on, like, the DS games, you would, like, they had, like, the whole, like, Pokedex, and you would click on Pikachu, and it'd be like, what sound does Pikachu make? And it'd be like, Pika Pika! And then you go to, like, Rattata, and it's like, what kind of sound does Rattata make? And it's like, it's like, Jesus, okay.
Okay, this is pretty good. So,
Did you
a little while ago...
Imagine that they're, like, you're just, like, in your house, and you're like, oh, man, I think I got, like, a Rattata problem, and you just, like, put your ear to the wall, and you just hear just, like, the sounds of, like, the electronics damned, and they're like, yep, got some mice in your wall.
You really do.
Oh my God.
You do got a problem.
Modern day, like, Pokemon problems are the fucking funniest.
Like, you're, hey, like,
Okay.
what's up? My cat, my Meowth that I love so much. And it's just like... Well, I'm gonna go get a real cat from the real world, because this isn't good.
This is just too much.
Sorry, okay. I got it. So a little while ago, there was like a big, not leak, but just somebody who worked on Gold and Silver showed their like first idea round of what they thought the Pokemon would look like. Like the new ones. And this just, I don't know, it's just really cool. There's a lot of really fun ones.
I
Yeah.
love this.
Yeah, there's the one that is the evolved form of Ditto that just looks like a used condom. That's my favorite.
Oh my God, where?
You're right. You're right.
Sort of the second row down towards the right, underneath the weird almost Pichu.
Yeah, the weird Pichu.
Oh, wait, like the pointy one?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
So Ditto would evolve into that, which would be just a used condom.
I like at the bottom, I like the weird, like, scarecrow monkey guy. I like that guy.
Right, and it's kind of cool looking at these, because some of them, like, are Pokemon that you know. Like, there's
Yeah,
Miltank,
and
and
they've
it
just
looks
been, like,
like a
edited
little
a
bit
little bit.
different. Yeah. But then there's also the ones that are just, like,
Like, hi,
totally
hey, what the
wild.
fuck? Oh my
Yeah.
God, like the Girafarig.
Oh,
is
that's
the
weird.
giraffe rig on there? Where
Oh
is
my
it?
God, it has
It's the
like
two
two
horses.
bodies.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because that was sort of the idea. It was like this palindrome Pokemon,
Like
but they
cat dog.
right, yeah. But I guess they wimped out on that.
They were like, maybe that's like a little too weird.
Right.
Maybe we just put a chain chomp on that thing.
And then yeah, look, and there's like also this one that looks like an anglerfish that's kind of an eel that turned into
Yeah.
something different later.
That is very fun.
Yeah. I just wanted to point this out because I think they're a lot of fun.
Pokemon designs were better in the other generations.
Oh, also, the other really important one is the fact that way over on the right, there's an early design of Remoraid where he's just a gun who is also a fish.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
no!
Really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And then Octillery
Pokemon
is like a tank.
gun.
It's so great. I love that one. I wish we would have kept Gunfish.
Yeah.
Well, because you know there were those edgy 13-year-olds playing Pokemon. They were like, why can't I just have a gun?
Yeah.
And they were like, uh-huh.
Like, ho
Fish gun.
It's a gun and a fish.
So what do you think? What do you think? Between the version of Pichu that's on this one For the listeners at home, it's just like, it looks like Pichu, except it's
A ball.
A circle.
just a circle, yeah, with like ears and a weird little tail. Which one do you like better?
I mean, I like Pichu because it makes sense that Pichu turns into Pikachu.
Right. Hear me out, though.
Yes.
Imagine this Pichu in Super Smash Brothers.
That's Jigglypuff.
No, but it's different because he's pointy.
Jigglypuff.
I don't think I have a preference on this one. They are both just too cute.
They're both good.
I mean, this
Okay.
one looks easier to throw because it's just a ball.
And that's how I judge my Pokemon, on how good they are at throwing. Grookey, 0 out of 10. Bad
0
to
to
throw.
10.
Oh, wait, what is it called? Gorilla Boom? What's the third version of it?
Oh, Rillaboom.
Rillaboom. 0 out of 10. Cannot throw.
Could not throw. Absolutely
Cannot
not.
be thrown.
Wailord,
love-
-5 out of 10.
I love these old Pokemon things. I don't know, maybe new ones too. I guess I'm not up to date. But, like, there are so many times when, like, the script obviously called for somebody to make a pun, and the
Yeah.
English translation just has to be like, I
Sunfish.
gotta figure out something to say that's funny here. And my favorite one is, like, Team Rocket are watching Ash, and Pikachu uses an electric type attack, and they say, like, wow, that's a big charge on his credit card.
Yeah.
What? What?
Yeah.
What is that? What joke was that originally?
What are you doing?
Well, there was a
Right.
time when Team Rocket again, when they go and they find the cloning machine, they're like, these are a bunch of, like, Pokesteins. And it's like, does that, like,
Was
Is-
that a ri-
does
is-
that
is
work in
real?
Japanese? Like, even a
Right.
little bit?
Yeah.
Do you know about Frankenstein Pokemon
Yeah,
World?
is that us only? Do you
And
have
also
that?
Minnesota?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't get that joke at all.
Because there's a
What?
football team called
They
the Minnesota
mostly live in
Vikings.
Minnesota.
Oh!
But
That-
I
okay,
think
that
that's
is a
I
good
think that's a
joke.
U.S. exclusive joke. I'm sure there was just a completely different joke in the Japanese version,
Good
and in the
God.
translation they just added a different joke.
Okay, that's a good joke.
That's ridiculous.
At first I was like, Minnesota, what?
That's not near the ocean.
I also
Is
like,
it?
what the fuck is the deal with Team Rocket dressing up as Vikings? Like,
Yeah,
what is
no,
that?
it's not. That's what, this movie really
What voice were they going for? What accent was that?
Right.
Swedish.
We have a boat for you to take, yeah. Come jump in our Viking boat, yeah.
The whole thing about this movie is that those other 3 trainers, whose names we don't learn, and they're really not that important.
Except for their
but-
Pokemon.
Except for their Pokemon. But they just really highlight the fact that Ash just, like, never fucking, like, evolves his Pokemon. So they're
Right.
like...
Or names
we-
them.
Or names them,
Yeah.
also. But they're like, they got, like, their, like, strong Pokemon teams, and Ash is like, I got Squirtle and Bulbasaur and Vulpix, and it's like, okay, so
But
you're
they're
gonna
the
lose,
best
right?
still.
This is my Venusaur, and its name is Brute Root, and I had to listen to that line 5 times in order to figure out what the hell he was saying. What the hell kind of name is Brute Root?
And yeah, okay, can I just say, those trainers give their freaking Pokemon the stupidest nicknames.
Right, yeah.
Go Shell
what is that one?
Shocker!
Yeah, Shell Shocker, which is like, if you're like on a sports team, it's like, sure, that's good. But
Yeah.
then,
Or
what's
a
the one that's
Teenage
called
Mutant
Broom
Ninja Turtle
Room? My subtitles just called him Brew Brew, which
Yeah.
That's literally what it
Brew,
sounded like
brew.
he was saying.
they were like, go get him, Shell Shocker, and it's like, go get him, Brew Brew, and I'm like, okay, why did you name your Ivysaur that?
I do really like, though. I like that, like, they get there and they're just, like, hanging out in this big, like, echoey hall. And
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
they say is just, like, reverberating around. And it, like, I don't know, it has, like, a really interesting tone to it. I don't know,
It
it makes
really
it
does.
feel
Yeah.
real, I guess. I don't know, it's just an interesting creative choice to have him in this big echoey hallway. I just think it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I like any time when the Pokemon can just, like, chill and eat food. I don't know why that's so just, like,
Right.
nice for me. Like,
That's
what's
the
the
best.
Pokemon short? Where I think it's the Pichu brothers one, where, like, at the end, they, like, have the big party for all the Pokemon, and they're, like, eating all the food. I'm like, this is
Right.
nice.
Yeah,
like
no,
this.
good stuff.
I
God,
like,
the
I
Pichu
think-
brothers are the best thing to come out of the Pokemon anime, and if
Yes.
you disagree with me, you're wrong.
You have no problems on my end. You're right. You're valid.
Pichu
Um,
brothers,
I think
best
that-
thing
So, yeah.
ever.
I think that balance was just like that one giant room. And then the basement where they had like all the weird experiments going on, and the stadium. And that was just the entire palace.
Yeah, probably. He built it in like a day.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not like he needs to like sleep or anything.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. And I just want to point out again, it's like at the beginning of this, they make a fucking meal out of like showing you Mewtwo's hand as he's like doing whatever he does.
Yeah,
and
which
he's,
also,
like,
by the
swirling.
way, what the fuck is Mewtwo's hands?
Don't worry.
They're just
don't
like
ask questions.
3 balls
Right.
on a palm. And yeah, I don't get it.
I just remember in the Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U days, there was this stage that was just like a Miiverse stage where people could make drawings and leave captions based on whatever character you were using that would show up behind you. And whenever you played as Mewtwo, there was one person who was just constantly spamming. God damn it! Did he say 3 paws?
It was something.
Do you remember
like
this,
that.
Adeline?
I do remember this.
It was just pictures of Mewtwo's hands that would say like 3 paws, like
paws,
over
3
and
paws,
over
3
and
paws,
over and over
Yeah.
again.
Like this
why?
is all that person was doing.
Right.
Okay,
That's
but
just
the
all I
part-
could think about.
The part that you mentioned where he's like making the storm, right? Like when he's like waving
Right.
his hand around. That, I kid you not, 100% hypnotized me as a child.
Yeah.
It put me in such an intense trance. It really did. And I think it's like the way that the camera starts to move, like with his palm or like with his hand. And it
Right.
just, I was very successfully hypnotized by that as a 4-year-old.
I mean, that's even more evidence to put on the pile of Pokemon is haunted and has always been haunted. Like, I think just one more thing to put in there.
Yeah.
I just think, but what I was getting to was just that, like, it made that moment so weird when you've already seen Mewtwo's whole shit at the beginning of the movie, you know?
I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
It feels like it's really making a meal out of, like, making it mysterious and, like, oh, what is that? I wonder what's happening, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
What
It
does
just
this
it's
guy's face look like? But we've
it's
already seen
awkward
it.
that we like already totally know who he is right when we first get to it.
Yeah. I think
agree.
that backstory stuff is really cool. I think we should, like, put it in the middle. Like, once we know who Mewtwo is, and then Mewtwo can be like, all right, here's my backstory. And we're like, oh,
Right.
okay, cool. Like, I'm interested in this now because you're the villain and we don't know that much about you.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe they could pull something weird.
Ash could be like, why do you hate humans so much? And Mewtwo could be like, I'll show you. And then they all
Well.
see.
Right.
Yeah.
No, here's what I think. I think what they should
3
do
months ago.
is
Yeah, 2 days ago.
but like in the middle of the climax when Mew and Mewtwo are fighting, they could be like, Mew, what's happening? And then Mew could steal it from his brain and put it in everybody else's.
Well, so just
It's
to
like
be
against
clear,
his will.
Mewtwo is not a clone of Mew. He's a clone of another Mew that died.
No, it's a clone of Mew.
Yeah.
No, because they said they found remains of a Mew that they were able to clone from.
They said
Yeah,
that they
Mews
found just,
go
like,
around and
enough
they shed.
DNA, right?
Yeah.
Is there more than
No,
one
they-
Mew?
No, there's not. It's just the same Mew. It's just an
Okay.
ancient artifact. It's so rare that the only part of it they've been able to find was like some hair it left behind somewhere in ancient times, I guess.
Yeah.
I read it as they found a dead one. That's what I read it as.
They said remains, and look,
Yeah,
just because something
remains
is
implies
no,
that it's dead.
No, remains
No,
implies
all that
a
it
pile of
implies-
shit.
is that it remains. It still is, therefore it is remains.
Whatever. No, that's not true.
Yes, it is. It comes from the word remain, which means to still be. So
I think
You
that
you
you're
call
both
the dead
right.
thing the remains. If you find a dead body, it's the remains of the person. Anyway,
if
I'm right. You're wrong.
if I left my hair around my apartment, it would be my remains because it still exists. It remains my hair.
But so would a
it
corpse.
remains
The corpse
part of
still
me.
Or is it
exists.
the
What are you
ground? Yes.
talking about?
Yes,
Nothing
that's also
ceases
true.
to exist.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but that's I interpret it as a dead body, and you interpret it as poop, and we
But they
cannot
show
have
you. They
our
show
own
you it's just a little bit of
interpretation.
hair. It's just a little bit of hair.
It's just a little
I
fiber.
like to imagine that it's Mewtwo's dead brother. Is that so wrong? That's what I like.
I
God, that makes Mewtwo so much more tragic.
Yeah,
There's-
that's what I like about it.
there's
Instead of them just being like, oh, whose poop is this? Oh, it's Mew's. Let's make a clone out of this.
I love there's this moment right when Mewtwo first like reveals himself where he's like, and now I will prove myself as whatever the fuck he says. He's like, I will prove myself as a great Pokemon master.
Yeah.
And the guy is immediately like, no! Pokemon can't be a Pokemon master!
Yeah.
Like, what's this guy's hang up? Like,
why are you so upset about that?
Wasn't that also the guy that was like, all of my Pokemon are water type, and then it pans over and there's a fucking Nidoqueen over there?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's
hi,
blue.
excuse me, just because Nidoqueen's blue does not make it a water type, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, he's also like, I'm the strongest in the world. I have all water types. I'm like, oh, one grass type, my friend. Just one. That's all it takes.
Just like, yeah, I don't know. And I wrote down, they're my slaves. It's okay if I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
This movie does some weird things because it doesn't know how it wants you to interpretate what the relationship between the Pokemon and the trainer are. Because they're like, we're friends, but it's like, you're an animal. It's like a pet. So it's like, we call them masters because it's like a pet. But then they're like, we're equals, and then we just get into some like slavery stuff, and then it just gets weird, and then it's weird, and then I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's weird because specifically, there's a lot of things in video games, especially because it's so Japan-centered, but like, it's weird to remember that they're not being produced in American culture, Like, the
Yeah.
idea of slavery
That's
has so
true,
much
yeah.
more weight in America than it does, like, in Japan,
That's a
like,
really
it wouldn't,
good point.
they probably
That's
wouldn't
true, I
even
never
think
thought
about
of
it
that.
that way. I also remember, like, when Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out, there was a little controversy because Mr. Game & Watch, his whole gimmick was, like, that his, like, whenever he would do different attacks, he would, like, look differently for each one because they were, like, mimicking the old
Mini-games.
Game & Watch game that
Yeah.
whatever that animation came from. Anyway, but there was one where you, like, hit somebody with a torch and he got, like, a little Native American feather on his head, and everyone was like, oh, whoa, what's that? That's no good. And they, like, fixed
No
it
bueno.
immediately.
Yeah.
But, like, it was interesting because it was like, Japan wouldn't know not to do that. Like, that's not a part
Yeah,
of
they
their
know that.
cultural conversation at all. Like,
Yeah.
and it's, like, good that they changed it, but it's just interesting that it's, like, weird to
Yeah.
think about, like, the things that we care about so much in America might not even be
On the radar.
on the radar
Yeah.
for different cultures who have their own problems,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that everyone knows that Adeline said the word interpretate. And
Yeah, no, that was...
I don't know how to fucking speak. Like, this whole podcast is just proof that I don't know how to speak, and I've just been faking it for years.
I just wanted to make sure. And now we can move on.
I just goddamn love when all the Pokemon are fighting and they're playing that insane Brother My Brother song.
They're so stupid.
And all the Pokemon are like fighting and crying and everyone's like, no.
Pikachu is slapping the real Pikachu, and then Pikachu's just crying.
He's got tears welling down his eyes.
Okay, but
Oh
I
my
cried
God.
when I watched that last night. Yes, I was close to tears, like when all of them
I was
start
cracking
fighting.
my shit up.
Okay, wait, what
Right,
time
because it's
was
like-
it when you were watching it?
It was, well, no, it wasn't that late. It was like, I don't know, 10 p.m. it really wasn't that late, but it, like, you get to the part where they're all fighting and they all look sad that they're fighting, and I was like, oh shit, this sucks.
And all the trainers are like, this is so horrible. How
This
could
is so
anything so
wrong."
devastating ever happen? And they're playing this, like, Eagle-Eye Cherry song in the background.
Well,
You're like,
and what's also so stupid is the trainers are just like standing there, and they're like, if only someone could do something. If
Like,
only
yeah,
someone
wow.
would stand up and get over there and separate them and do something. And
Wow,
like,
this
bitch, there's
all-
like 5 of you.
This all really sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, watch this Pikachu slap another Pikachu. I'm
Another-
crying.
that's when
and then
I
all the
actually
real
started to
Pokemon
cry.
choose to stop fighting. And it's just like...
When, like, okay, but they're so tired. They get so tired of fighting each other, and they just, like, fall on each other in, like, this horrible, sad embrace, and then I
Hold on,
start
what was the
crying.
What was the whole thing? Because, like,
just posted the gif of the Pikachus fighting.
Of the Pikachu slapping each other to the group chat.
No. You say slapping each other, but it's important because only one is slapping the other.
Yeah, only the clone is slapping the real Pikachu.
Yeah.
But he's like crying and it's really... Anyway, but the whole thing is that the clones and the original Pokemon are about to fight. And then why is it that Mewtwo's like, just to prove it, we can't use our like special magical powers. Instead we'll just fucking punch each other. Yeah, like why does he do that? What leads to that?
It's like beating the shit out of each other with their bare hands.
Yeah, like what? Why did they do that? Why was that a choice that Mewtwo made?
And also, I really feel like Ash instigated this fight because he's like,
oh, he definitely
you can't do that. I won't let you! And then he, like, walks up out of the smoke, which, by the way, that animation was very bad. And then the fight happens, and it's like, okay, so Ash, what did you expect to happen by doing this?
Yeah. Right.
I also definitely thought that Pikachu didn't get cloned, because that's the whole thing, is that Ash stops him from getting cloned.
Yeah, that's true.
But then there's just a Pikachu clone. Maybe it's a different Pikachu that we didn't see. I don't know, but...
I think it just, like, it got enough information from out of the weird science Pokeball.
Yeah, no,
yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always forget that Ash dies, but, like, not even in, like, a real... He just turns to stone. And I don't get it.
Yeah.
Speaking of, do you guys want to hear my trivia time for this episode?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, great. So, IMDb trivia. There's only a couple for this one, but they're good. Did you know that this is the first Pokemon product that involves death? Ash is resurrected by the tears of the Pokemon.
No,
I think in the manga, I think Pokemon get like torn in half, like every single page of the Pokemon manga.
Like, what about Lavender Town? Like, I know no one like actively dies, but like there are like
they talk about dead Pokemon,
shit.
yeah.
Nope, you're wrong. IMDb trivia says this is the first Pokemon product that involves death.
All right, great.
Wow.
Did you know that Michael Hagney said that the opening segment was inspired by a bath that he took?
Wow, that's some crazy bath, dog. What are you doing?
Wait, okay, I feel horrible. Who is this person?
I don't know. I'm sure it's somebody who was involved.
Just some guy off the street.
Michael Hagney.
This reminds me of a bath I took.
This reminds me of a bath that I took. I thought you were talking about, like, the director.
Right. Okay, he's the writer of the movie.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck?
The opening sequence was inspired by a bath that he took.
Okay, Mewtwo did not take a bath once in that sequence.
Like,
it's Bubbles at the beginning.
Shut the fuck up.
That's stupid.
That's dumb. Oh, I love that.
And I love that, like, when they finally start to fix everything, the, like, big moral that they're pushing at the end, like, so explicitly is, like, fighting is wrong. Oh my People shouldn't fight with each other. You're like, okay, yeah, sure, I guess.
Well, I mean, I feel like there really is no established moral of the story. Like, right. It tries to be so many things at once, because Mewtwo is like, oh, I was created and now I want revenge and you don't mess with science and stuff. But then, like, Meowth has that, like, deep conversation with his clone about, like, maybe it doesn't matter if we're born different and we should all just be, you know, I don't know, friends or something. That's my Meowth voice, by the way.
We should just be like brothers.
Yeah. And then
love your brothers across the world.
But then, Nurse Joy is like, we shouldn't make Pokemon fight like this. This is horrible. And so, like, there's so much happening, and I think the movie
she literally says,
decide,
not like this.
Not like this. Like, it can't decide on a moral. It's like,
well, because the moral of the story can't be that Pokemon fighting is bad, because it's Pokemon.
Right. And then, well, you know what? It doesn't even matter that there's, like, no moral of the story because they don't remember it anyways.
They forget
because
that
Mewtwo
anything
wipes
happened.
their fucking memory.
Ash just forgets that he dies for a minute.
Wait, do we know that, like, does Ash or any of them ever remember what happened? Ever?
No, because
like,
it's a
future
movie, and
movies
they
and
have
stuff?
to keep doing a TV show, and it doesn't make sense if happens in continuity, because they can't coordinate with the TV show, so they just have to be like, and then they all forgot at the end.
Yeah.
Wow. So Ash really be dead and then not remember.
Yeah, really is out here being dead and forgetting about it.
I feel like if you haven't seen this movie, the song that plays while the Pokemon are fighting each other, I can't overemphasize how much it is tonally whack. It's like, it sounds like like a love song on the radio from 2001.
Like, it's because we have, like, this big, like, all-out, like war going on between, like, the regular Pokemon and the clone Pokemon. And, like, you think there's gonna be, like, some action for, like, a minute, but no, they just start playing this song, like, immediately.
Straight up, I'm gonna put it in the podcast, because I just started listening to it again, and it's so fucking funny.
Fighting for, we got to end this war. Should love one another. Oh, can't we just pretend this war never began? We can try, brother, my brother.
Okay, so I was right when this part happened. One of my roommates, Maddie, walked over, right? And so we're watching it. She's like watching over my shoulder, and it comes on, and Maddie, who has seen this movie before, is just like, "Wow, this doesn't fit at all, does it?" And I look her straight in the eye, and I said, "No, it does, because it's the Pokemon the First movie song." This is the only song that would work in this situation, and I'm right, and if you disagree, I'll kill you.
Are you listening to
Wait, let's hear. Oh my god.
And so, just imagine a bunch of Pokemon fighting and trying to kill each other.
Yeah, it's like this devastating, brutal hand-to-hand combat where they're just destroying
they're,
each
like,
other.
Fighting like real animals because they can't use their magic, and it's
Oh my god. Oh my god. Tell me, what are we
end this
fighting
war.
for?
Okay.
Oh my god.
We have to
You are
move
my
forward.
brother.
Just pretend
Oh my
that
God.
this
I also-
war never began.
I also want to point out the music during the credits, which is just like completely unrelated pop songs that are just like
Oh my god.
love songs or like songs about
Yeah.
hope. I don't know.
The
It's just like
moral
there's
of
one
this
that's like, I
movie-
wish we never broke up. And it's like, that's not what the movie's about.
like,
Why'd you
I-
pick
the
this
moral
song?
of
Very
this
confused.
movie is not to love each other. The moral of this movie is to not fight. And those
Right.
are very different things.
Right?
Because this movie can't matter, because we have a TV show that we're still doing. Like, they literally, when they, like, stop fighting and Mewtwo, like, picks up all the clones for a second, I was like, is he gonna, like, evaporate all of the clones?
Right.
Because then what the fuck has been the whole point of this movie? If it's like, it doesn't matter how you're born, it's what you do when you are born. Anyway, bye, clones, you don't matter.
That would have been good.
Well, I mean, they all, like, exist somewhere else now.
In the
because
clouds.
Mewtwo, like,
In the-
flew off with them. By the way, the part where like Mew and Mewtwo are fighting and they're in their bubbles, I love that.
That's super cool. Yeah.
That
pretty
was
cool. Pretty
so
tight.
fun. Yes. And every sound effect that Mew makes, like when like it's flying around, just like the shimmery sounds.
Yeah.
Mwah.
No, Mew's great.
Mwah.
But
I
what's weird
remember. Go ahead.
is before they reveal, see, if you watch this movie without having seen these Pokemon before, when you're like, here's Mewtwo, here's a clone of Mew, and you just get like those weird pictures of Mew. But then when you like actually see Mew, and it's like this cute little like cat thing, and you're like, God, they really fucked up his shit in order to make Mewtwo. Because I fucking hate looking at Mewtwo. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's his big belly. I don't know if it's his weird pompous head. I don't know if it's his fingers. I hate looking at him. I don't like looking at Mewtwo.
I have never thought of that before. I really have not. Of like,
yeah,
oh
they
my
fucked
God.
up Mew's shit, dog.
That is just, it's not a clone anymore.
No.
Right.
You're like, you took, okay, like, we'll take, its hair, and that's it. And now we're gonna make our own new thing.
Maybe
he's
didn't
an
know.
abomination.
Maybe they didn't know what Mew looked like, and they just had the hair, so they were like, "This is what Mew looks like."
But they had like that really old like portrait, like that artifact thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they blind?
Yes. That's one of the side effects of being around Mewtwo for too long.
I love what.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it, Jackson.
Oh no.
I just sent the chat the old sprite from the original Pokemon Red and Blue of Mewtwo, where he looks like a weird caveman.
Yeah, it's gross.
Really,
I hate him.
Like looking at that really just sells like a scientific experiment, just like that you should not have done.
Oh, you know what? It's the
Right.
tube coming out of the back of his head. That's what really. That's the oh no for me. It's the tube coming out of the back of his head.
You're like, that's a no.
And, like,
But
the
also
weird...
just like looking at this sprite, if you're just like a kid playing Pokemon for the first time and that's just what you see, you know, like I don't know, it's a weirdly evocative image. I don't know, it's kind of cool.
The fact that like
That's
his
true.
chest is like a rib cage that's like weirdly like detached from the rest of his body.
Right.
But it's like really
I hate
only
looking
his
at
shoulders.
Mewtwo.
Yeah, no, that's like I think maybe it's also the fact that he kind of has more of like a humanish figure
Definitely.
than a lot of other Pokemon where it's like nuh-uh. No, thank you.
This isn't a dog. What is this?
That's not a dog.
That's not a dog.
I love how like the whole deal with the scientists is like oh, let's make a super strong Pokemon, very very strong. No, not that strong.
Oh God, we've gone too far.
And I love that line where he's like,
done.
and he's just like, I wanted to make the world's most powerful Pokemon. And I succeeded. Like, it's just so straight. You're like,
and then he
God
dies.
damn it.
And you're like, fucking bye, Dr. Dongnose. Have it.
Because they're like, we were hired by Team Rocket to make the world's strongest Pokemon. Just cause they wanted one, so we did it.
Right.
It's like a custom Build-A-Bear. They just wanted it, so we made it.
Okay, wait, but the fact that we have not talked about Team Rocket like almost this whole time is a horrible mistake, because I love every single time that they are on screen. That is my favorite part of the whole movie, honestly, is just all of the parts with Team Rocket.
Okay.
Like,
Well, it's like, that's the only times when we're allowed to have fun. Because the rest of the movie, we're not allowed to have fun.
Yeah. They're just walking around and Mew is following them and pranking them, right? And making them think that they're hallucinating. And they're all just like, and they all go, a lot. And I love them so much.
And they're just walking around saying weird things that might have been funny in Japanese.
Okay. And also, the part where they call Scyther Alakazam.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they're all dumbasses.
Because they're fucking idiots. And like,
Because I'm sure this was written and dubbed. It was 1998. I'm sure all the people making this movie couldn't have given a shit about Pokemon.
Well, no, like, I looked it up, and the thing is there are 3 mistakes. There's, like, they call, like, Pidgeot Pidgeotto, They call
Right, I
Scyther
remember that.
Alakazam, and then there's another one that I don't remember. But they decided to leave it in. I think it was 4Kids is who I'm talking about. Like, they just decided to leave it in because they're like, Team Rocket's dumb. That makes sense.
Right?
They're just like, this is a character.
Yeah, I think that it was literally like a decision that they made to just keep it in because Team Rocket has a reputation to uphold, and it's being dumb as fuck.
Usually what I like about the Pokemon movies is that Team Rocket will be like kind of start off as the villain, but like as a real villain shows up, they like kind of like unite like against a common evil, and that's when we get like the real like humanizing part of Team Rocket, where it's like, oh, they're dumbasses and they're mean to us, but like they're good people. Yeah. And I just feel like we don't get that in this movie. I feel like they're just dumbasses, and then we leave them on an island at the end of the movie.
Yeah, they're kind of like the purpose of them being there is for like the plot to kind of like hop to a different spot to provide like, oh, also this is happening at the same time. Like, don't forget, here's all of the weird clone shit that like the main group doesn't really get to explore because they're busy dealing with Mewtwo. Like, that's the whole reason that Team Rocket is there.
Yeah.
And it's still my favorite.
Okay. A great defense.
My love for them is undying.
But yeah, I don't know. It's weird to think that, like, I don't know, this was 1998, and, like, the people making and animating and writing this movie, especially in America doing the dub, probably couldn't be bothered to give a shit, right? It's a movie based on a video game, based on a TV show, and you're like, I don't know, whatever. All these weird creatures, like, who gives a shit? Like, it's just so weird to imagine Pokemon not being such a, like, monocultural, I don't know, just juggernaut of a franchise, Yep.
You're so
Before you would get people who cared about Pokemon to do Pokemon stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you would just get anybody. God, I'm still just watching this gif of the Pikachu hit Pikachu, and it's just really funny.
They're all doing that. They've, like, all got tears rolling down their cheeks as they just punch the shit out of another Pokemon.
Shut the fuck up!
Oh god, that song is so fucking funny.
I know!
I have a joke written down here, and I'm just gonna read it. It says, Mewtwo, more like Mary Sue, also Eevee, the part where they crawl out of the tubes. And that's, that's just what I have written down.
Yep.
It's good stuff,
yeah.
good stuff.
No, them, like, kind of, like, that whole, like, cloning machine is super cool, and how they're, like, in, like, the bubbly, like, tubes is, like, cool. Up until the part where they have to, like, slurp out of, like, the gray part of it.
Yeah, it's great.
Out of
and they're just, like, really hamming up the sound effects, and I'm like...
Yeah, no, it's good.
Ew.
That's my favorite part.
Yep. Yeah, that was gross.
They're like, oh, they're coming out, and then the giant Ivysaur's like, slurp, and I'm like, oh my god, this sucks.
Okay, so look, I'm gonna level with you guys. I feel like we're kind of at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Because it is only like 75 minutes long.
It's not a long movie.
We gotta fill out the time. You want to just talk about something else? What else do you guys want to talk about? What's on your minds?
We're almost at an hour. We're fine.
No, because we have to cut out part of it. We gotta go in for at least like another 10 minutes.
Okay.
We could talk about the new Pokemon games.
I suppose.
I mean,
like
we
them.
don't have to.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, never mind. I mean, not now. I mean, something else.
This is your podcast, and this is the last episode I'll be in, so I mean, it's whatever.
I'm being erased after this, You're gonna go up into the clouds with Mewtwo.
Let's just listen to Brother by Brother one more time together.
Okay. Hold on. Wait, we have to start it at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, you're on the same video. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Yes, hell yes. I feel it deep inside.
The guitar with the beat behind it.
It sounds like...
I can't...
What does it sound like? The strings.
Here it comes.
Oh my god.
Brother, my brother, tell me what are we fighting for? We got to end this war.
Get to end this war.
Meanwhile, Ash is like scaling a mountain.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I cannot listen to this without just like kind of, you know, swaying back and forth.
Yeah, just really feeling it in your soul.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Matchbox 20.
No.
It's more like,
It's like AM radio.
yeah, it's like easy listening music from 2001.
I hate both of you for saying that because you're right.
We watch our world fall apart.
Tell me
What we fighting for? Isn't life with so much more? To love one another. Can't we just pretend this war never began? Tell me
why do they keep talking about it as a war?
Yeah.
brother, my brother. Yeah. We
Okay, I'm gonna stop it.
God, this song is 4 minutes long.
I know. I feel like they play the whole thing in the movie, don't they?
I don't know. I hope they don't.
So yeah, we on this podcast eventually we're planning on doing at least a couple of these movies.
Or just at least doing the third one, because that's
Right.
the best one.
Here's my pitch. I say next month we don't do just one because they're so short. What if we do Pokemon 2 and 3?
Ooh.
No,
Together.
but 3 has to have its whole episode.
Yeah, you're kind of right. 3 kind of has to have its own episode, huh?
Well, I mean, like, you know, you guys can do whatever you want. 'Cause it's-
You can be on it if you want, Tabi.
Are you sure?
Do you want to go on a Pokemon adventure with us?
I'm trying to make it sound like I'm about to cry, but I'm really just trying not to laugh. I would love that.
So, okay, if I remember correctly, the third movie is actually super good, yes?
Yeah, no, we've watched that one
Wait.
semi-recently.
What one is that? The one with Entei?
That's the
that's
one with
the one where
Entei.
Entei-
Okay,
dad.
okay. I think
Yeah.
I've seen a total of 3 of these movies. The first one, the one with Entei, and then the one with Latios and Latios.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Because-
That's all that I've watched because I'm fake.
I remember the one where Celebi dies.
Right, that's the fourth
oh,
one. That's the
fuck,
one that I
yeah.
saw in theaters.
And the one with Jirachi. God, I
Right.
just have a horrible memory. Never mind.
Yeah, I remember all the old Pokemon movies. I watched them at some point when I was a kid, but like, I don't know. The third
They
one
were
was
on
the only
Cartoon
one.
Network all the time.
Yeah, the third one was the one that we owned on VHS and watched all the time.
Yeah, because it's the best movie ever made.
Right, But I remember last time, a couple of years ago, I watched the first 3 Pokemon movies. And I just remember being like, the first 2 aren't even that good. They don't really stand out in any way. And then the third one, I was like, this one actually rules. Like, this is actually super good.
Well,
and I
because
haven't
it's like-
seen anybody else sticking up for Pokemon 3 on the internet
So good.
before.
Well, because I don't remember what happens in the second one. What happens in the second one?
It's like there are 3 orbs, and they correspond to the 3 birds,
I
and there's a
watched that
guy
one
in a
too!
castle.
I
Yeah.
love that one.
And then Lugia is there. Lugia shows up.
Yeah.
And then they all fight, probably, and it's probably like, oh, they shouldn't be fighting like this.
I remember I have some memory of those orbs. I have some tactile memory of
Right.
those orbs.
Yes.
And they're like on an island, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's like a-
There's the girl that has to sing the song, right? Or like play it in the conch shell.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a magic conch shell.
I think it's because, without really remembering what the second one is about, I think it's because the third one has a plot that's, like, outside of, like, all Pokemon in general, you know?
Right.
Like, it's like we're
God,
just
does
focusing on the unknown and the story of this little girl who wants Entei to be her dad. So we're just focusing on one
Oh
story.
my god, what?
Rather
Yeah,
than
no,
just
rules.
Yeah, it's so good. Rather than just being like, oh, Pokemon shouldn't fight like this. It's got just like a smaller scaled plot, and I think it really benefits from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I need to say, Anna made a really, really good point yesterday when I finished the movie and we were just kind of having like a house discussion about it. Anna said, you do not make like the moral of the story in Pokemon that they shouldn't fight. Because, like, you just should not do that.
Right.
Because, I mean,
you can't open that can of worms.
It's literally word for word what she said. You cannot open that can of worms. You just can't.
Yeah.
Well, it's just because, I mean, I don't know. They make it specific that they're like, this is different than what we usually do, and this is horrible. And it's like, yeah, I guess, but like...
Yeah. I mean, you could have a more interesting conflict, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it just, that's the lazy one, and you just should do that.
Yeah, that's just the PETA Pokemon game that they made that was stupid and everybody hated.
Yeah.
Right. No, because Pokemon 3, Entei and the Mystery of the Spell of the Unknown, is like, so there's like this little girl whose dad loves to show her picture books of legendary Pokemon, and Entei is her favorite, and then her dad dies. And then she gets her wishes granted by the unknown. Why? So she decides to resurrect her dad in the form of Entei. But she has to, like, learn that all of this that she's created isn't real. And it might feel good, but it's not fulfilling because it's just, like, a fake illusion made by the unknown. And she, like, creates a fucking crystal fortress for herself, but they have to go in and, like...
it's dope.
Convince her to...
Oh my god! That's so cool!
It kicks ass. It's so good.
I do not remember that at all.
Well, because the whole thing is that... I don't remember what happens to her mom. I don't think her mom is also dead or something, but the whole thing is that Ash's mom gets kidnapped.
That's right!
Because this little girl is like, oh, this nice lady is, like, the perfect mother. She's, like, who I want my mother to be. So Ash's mother gets kidnapped because this little girl wants a motherly figure like that, and then that's what gets Ash involved in the story, and it's really good.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of like Coraline in its own weird kind of way.
It is a little bit. I mean, it's definitely like the be careful what you wish for thing that every single movie is, but you know.
I have no memory of this place.
It rules.
I really
it's
don't.
A good movie. Good flick.
I do not remember this.
This forest is old.
Wow.
Okay, so anyway, do you want to... Okay, you have to give me a second because I didn't look up a 1-star review.
Are there reviews of this film?
Oh, yeah. What do you mean?
Oh, I'm sure, right?
It's gotta be.
Because I'm just pulling them up on the website. People watch this movie.
While you do that, I have like 1 or 2 notes that I wrote down that as an animator, I just need to bring up. The Charizard fight, where like Ash's Charizard and the clone Charizard fight, and they're like flying through the air. Fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, dope as hell.
I love that part.
Very good.
Dope as hell. There's the part where Brock is like, oh wow, she looks really familiar. Like, who is this lady? I feel like I've seen her before. And it's like, yeah, you've seen like 50 of her before because she's Nurse Joy, and there are hundreds of them.
They are a clan.
They are a clan. And I think that was it. Okay. I'm good. We're good.
How many times can we do the Nurse Joy police Sergeant Jenny goof? Like, how many times in Pokemon have we made that goof? I feel like it's gotta be, like, an astronomical number of, like, them either being like, haha, we're all the same, or being like, just don't bring it up, just don't bring it up, just don't talk about it. Just look over there,
Alright, you guys, do you guys want to hear a 1-star review of Pokemon, the first movie?
Hell yeah.
Oh,
wait, okay, hold on, wait. Before I do that, I forgot to mention that they give this really fucking dramatic title card that says Mewtwo Strikes Back.
I know, and it's the Back to the Future logo for some reason.
And that's not what the movie's called?
Yeah.
No, or what happened,
or like,
really.
Mewtwo has never stricken before, ever.
Yeah,
so...
Mewtwo strikes.
Mewtwo...
And also, Pokemon... Also, Pokemon, the first movie just sucks. You should have called it Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No. Mewtwo Strikes.
Mewtwo Strikes. Pokemon, Mewtwo Strikes. Okay.
God.
So, a 1-star review of Pokemon, the first movie. This person says, it's bad because it made me cry as a child. I didn't like that very much, so fuck this.
Is that you, Tabi?
No.
Made me cry yesterday.
Made me cry yesterday, so it's bad, I hate it.
So fuck this.
So fuck this.
Anyway, my name's Jackson McMurray.
My name's Adeline McMurray.
My name's Teeves Magoo.
Did we say your actual name in this?
Sure, Tabi Bardall.
No!
This is better, it's allowed.
You just unmasked her, Jackson.
God damn it. I'll never be able to use that as like an alter ego name.
Now the Magician's Guild is gonna come after her.
Damn it. You really will never see me again.
Revealed her secrets.